Welcome to Jambo Safari Media. You are watching Jambo News with me, Tracy Wamboy. Let's take a look at the stories making headlines today. Gaza paramedic challenges military account of deadly attacks on emergency workers. Slovakia approves plan to cull 350 brown bears after fatal attack on a man. Trump's new tariffs draw widespread criticism from world leaders. Tesla sales drop to 3-year low amid backlash amid CEO Elon Musk. Susan Crawford wins historic election, securing liberal majority on Wisconsin Supreme Court. Federal judge dismisses criminal case against NYC Mayor Eric Adams, causing controversy. Murder of Sara Campanella sparks outrage over femicide crisis in Italy. Erupts against Tesla as Elon Musk faces backlash for political involvement. Tensions are reaching new heights in Gaza as Israeli airstrikes intensify, resulting in significant casualties and expanded military offensive. The latest round of violence, at least 19 Palestinians, including 9 children, were killed in an overnight strike on a UN clinic in Jabalia, which was sheltering displaced families. This follows a previous attack in Khan Yunis, where 12 people lost their lives. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz announced plans to expand military operations and seize large areas of Palestinian territory, which he referred to as security zones aimed at destroying Hamas infrastructure. The Israeli military stated that it targeted Hamas operatives hiding in the clinic, claiming that precautions were taken to minimize civilian harm. However, local hospitals report a growing death toll, with at least 20 additional casualties from strikes across Gaza overnight. The humanitarian situation continues to worsen as Israel has not allowed aid into Gaza since early March, leading to severe shortages of essential supplies. As the conflict enters a critical phase, the Israeli government has ordered evacuations for around 140,000 people in Rafah, further escalating tensions in the region. The ongoing violence and humanitarian crisis in Gaza raises urgent questions about the path to peace and stability. We'll continue to follow up this developing story and provide more updates as they emerge. We bring you a tragic story from Italy that has sent shockwaves through the nation. A young woman, full of promise and hope, has lost her life in a brutal act of violence. Sara Campanella, a 22-year-old student at the University of Messina, was murdered in broad daylight by a stalker in the Sicilian city of Messina. Witnesses described a chilling scene as the attacker, identified as a 27-year-old Stefano Argentino, approached Sara and stabbed her on the street. In her final moments, she cried out for help and pleaded with people to help. A passerby attempted to chase the assailant, but Argentino managed to flee the scene. Tragically, Sara died on her way to the hospital and Argentino was arrested a few hours later in Noto. Rafael Leon, the lawyer representing Argentino, confirmed that his client has admitted to the charges but has not provided any explanation for his actions. The prosecutor, Antonio Di Mato, revealed that Argentino had been harassing Sara since she began her studies 2 years ago, persistently trying to get her attention despite her rejection. Sara had shared her concerns with friends, even messaging them shortly before the attack saying that she was sick of the guy. Her mother has since urged others to speak out against harassment and violence, emphasizing the importance of seeking help. In a poignant response, Sara's brother expressed that no amount of unrequited love could justify such violence, while family members of other victims have echoed the urgent need to address the culture surrounding rejection and violence against women. The issue of femicide is a growing concern in Italy, with reports indicating that 4 women were killed by partners or ex-partners last month alone. Just days after Sarah's tragic death, the body of another young woman, Ilaria Sula, was found in Rome, highlighting the ongoing crisis. As we reflect on this heartbreaking loss, we are reminded of the urgent need for societal change and the importance of standing up against violence. We'll continue to monitor this developing story and advocate for a safer future for all. In a significant development for New York City, a federal judge has permanently dismissed the criminal case against Mayor Eric Adams, a decision that has stirred controversy and raised questions about the intersection of politics and justice. The case against Mayor Adams, which included charges of conspiracy, fraud, soliciting illegal campaign contributions, and bribery, was dismissed by U.S. District Judge Del Ho. This ruling comes just weeks after the Trump administration instructed federal prosecutors to drop the corruption charges, leading to the resignation of Manhattan's top federal prosecutor. The judge's dismissal was made with prejudice, meaning that the Department of Justice cannot revive the charges based on the same evidence. The allegations included claims that Adam accepted gifts totaling over $100,000 from Turkish citizens in exchange for political favors. In his ruling, Judge Hu noted that allowing federal prosecutors to potentially revisit the case in the future would create the perception that the mayor's freedom was contingent on his alignment with federal immigration. This, he urged, could undermine the trust of constituents who elected him. In February, Acting Deputy Attorney General Emil had ordered New York prosecutors to drop the case, citing that it restricted Adams' ability to address illegal immigration and violent crime, key objectives of the Trump administration. However, former Manhattan prosecutor Daniela strongly opposed this move, alleging that a quid pro quo had been offered in exchange for the case dismissal. Following the controversy, Sassoon and 6 other high-level justice officials resigned, stating there was no legal basis for dismissing the charges against Adams. In response to the ruling, Alex Pirro, Adams' attorney, remarked that the case should never have been initiated and emphasized the mayor's consistent claims of innocence. As this story unfolds, it highlights the complex dynamics of law, politics, and public trust. We'll continue to keep you updated on any further developments regarding Mayor Adams' implications of this dismissal. In a historical turn of events, Wisconsin has seen a dramatic shift in its judicial landscape, following the most expensive judicial election in U.S. history. Susan Crawford has emerged victorious over her conservative opponent, Brad Stem, in a race that saw unprecedented spending exceeding $1 million. This victory maintains the liberal majority on Wisconsin's highest court, which now stands at 4-3. The election drew attention not just for its cost, but also for the significant financial backing it received. Notably, $20 million came from Elon Musk, a billionaire advisor to former President Donald Trump, highlighting the increasing influence of money in judicial elections. Crawford's win is viewed as a critical moment for progressive values in Wisconsin, indicating a potential shift in the state's judicial approach to key issues. As the implications of this election unfold, we will closely monitor how this new court composition may impact future rulings and policies in Wisconsin. From Gaza emerges as a paramedic challenges the Israeli military's narrative regarding a deadly attack that claimed the lives of 15 emergency workers. Mantha Abed, the sole survivor of the attack, recounted the tragic events of March 23rd when he dove to the floor of his ambulance to escape gunfire that killed two of his colleagues. He described how the Palestinian Red Crescent and other emergency services were responding to reports of gunfire and casualties in Rafah when their vehicles came under fire. The Israeli military claims that the vehicles were moving suspiciously and opened fire in response. However, Mantha disputes this, stating that the ambulances had their lights on and were clearly marked as emergency vehicles. He emphasized that all crews involved were civilians and dedicated to providing medical assistance. After the attack, Mantha was pulled from the wreckage by Israeli soldiers who arrested and interrogated him for over 15 hours before his release. Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Saar maintained that the IDF acted on perceived threats, claiming that several vehicles approached their troops without proper coordination. However, Mantha and others have called for accountability and an investigation into the incident. International agencies have expressed outrage, stating that the bodies of the deceased workers were treated with indignity, buried in shallow graves, and that their deaths may constitute a violation of international humanitarian law. As the situation continues to unfold, the humanitarian crisis in Gaza remains dire, with at least 1,060 healthcare workers reportedly killed since the conflict began. Mantha's testimony underscores the personal toll of this violence as he reflects on the bonds formed with his colleagues whom he considered family. As calls for an independent investigation grows louder, we'll continue to follow this story closely, highlighting the urgent need for accountability and protection for those providing critical medical services in conflict zones. In a controversial move, Slovakia's government has approved a plan to cull approximately 350 brown bears following a fatal attack on a man in a central Slovakian cabinet announced that this decision comes in response to rising fears over public safety after a series of bear encounters. The recent tragedy involved a 59-year-old man who was mauled to death, prompting the government to extend a state of emergency, allowing for the shooting of bears across 55 of Slovakia's 79 districts. The Prime Minister emphasized that his government cannot allow citizens to feel unsafe in their own forests, stating that they could not live in a country where people were afraid to go into the woods. This decision has sparked outrage among conservationists who argue that the culling of this protected species violates international obligations. Michael Wizek, an ecologist and member of the opposition party Progressive Slovakia, criticized the government's failure to effectively manage bear population and prevent attacks. He pointed out that thousands of bear encounters occur each year without incident and expressed hope that the European Commission would intervene. Authorities confirmed that the man found dead in the woods near Detfa had suffered devastating injuries consistent with the bear attack, and evidence of a bear den was located nearby. As the debate continues over how to balance wildlife conservation and public safety, this story raises important questions about the management of natural resources and human-wildlife interactions. In a bold and controversial move, President Trump has announced sweeping tariffs on all imports, igniting a firestorm of criticism from world leaders who warned this could be a major blow to the global economy. How will this impact international trade and diplomacy? European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has condemned the new tariffs, stating they will have immense consequences and could lead to spiraling uncertainty for millions worldwide. The universal 10% tariff on all imports, effective April 5th, will particularly affect around 60 countries, with steeper rates imposed from April 9th. In response to these measures, China has vowed to take resonant countermeasures, warning that such actions threaten global trade stability. Trump has framed these tariffs as necessary retaliation against unfair trade practices, claiming they will boost U.S. manufacturing and make America wealthy again. Leaders from various nations have expressed their dismay. Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, a Trump ally, called the decision wrong but aims to negotiate a deal to prevent a trade war. Spain's Pedro Sanchez and Ireland's Taiso Michael Martin echoed similar sentiments, highlighting the need for open trade. In France, President Emmanuel Macron is set to meet with impacted business sectors to discuss the fallout from these tariffs, while Japan and South Korea have also voiced strong objections, emphasizing the potential violation of trade agreements. Canada and Mexico, while not directly mentioned in this announcement, will still feel the effects, particularly with a 25% automotive tariff set to impact millions. As nations prepare for potential retaliation measures, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott has warned against escalation, urging countries to refrain from retaliation. As the world reacts to these tariffs, the implications for global trade remain uncertain. Will this lead to a full-blown trade war, or can diplomacy prevail? We'll keep you updated on this evolving story. In a stunning turn of events, Tesla's sales have hit a 3-year low as backlash against CEO Elon Musk intensifies. With competition rising and political controversy swirling, what does this mean for the future of this electric car giant? Tesla delivered nearly 337,000 electric vehicles in the first quarter of 2025, marking a 13% drop from the previous year. Following this announcement, Tesla stock took a nosedive, reflecting widespread investor concern. The backlash against Musk has escalated, with protests and vandalism targeting Tesla dealerships across US and Europe. This unrest is largely attributed to Musk's controversial political role, particularly his involvement in President Trump's Department of Government Efficiency, where he has been pushing for significant cuts to federal spending. Despite reports suggesting Musk might be stepping back from his role, the White House dismissed these claims as garbage. For now, Musk is still expected to serve in his capacity until at least June due to legal restrictions. Tesla stock has plummeted more than 25% this year, raising alarms among major investors. Randy Weinten, president of the American Federation of Teachers, has urged pension funds to reassess their investments, noting that Musk's political pursuits seem to conflict with Tesla's business interests. New York City Comptroller has announced plans to sue Tesla on behalf of the city pension system, citing over $30 million in losses attributed to the company's declining stock prices. As Tesla navigates this turbulent period, the question remains: can the company rebound from these challenges, or will the backlash against its CEO continue to weigh it down? We'll keep you updated on this developing story. That's a wrap for today. Thank you for joining us on Jambo News. Remember to hit that subscribe button to stay informed and engaged. Stay safe.